My name is Ryan. My friend Kyle and I have taken our barroom conversations to the internet in the form of Michigan's most up-and-coming sports talk podcast. From baseball to Bigfoot, we cover it all. You're in for a treat because you have found the Turbo and 2K show. What's up, 2K crew? This is Turbo and Mr. 2K's in Studio T coming to you today. We've got a hell of a show going on, and we're going to do some golf. We're actually going to entertain you with some of our NBA basketball knowledge. So don't go fact checking because we could be completely off, but that's what makes it funny. We're gonna wind up with some MLB talk. So we got a good one on. We got a really good one on board for you today. But we first want to take a quick time out and give a Turbo and 2K shout out to Mr. Butch Regal. It is every year this time of year, 420, where some people might partake in some extracurriculars, and hell, even this year it's legal. But Mr. Raymond Butch Regal has been entertaining this day for over 70 years because it is his birthday. So we just wanted to give a quick shout out to the mayor of Marcellus, Butch Regal.
Happy birthday, Butchie.
And we also wanted to give a congratulatory shout out to all the Red Wings fans because Stevie Y is back. However, if you don't really follow the Red Wings, he's not playing, which the last couple of seasons, even though he's way past his prime, could probably help them out. But he is the new general manager over for the Red Wings. So hopefully some of those bad contracts they've taken on here in the past 4 or 5 seasons will stop. And Stevie Y will get them back to the playoffs and start a new playoff trend again. So cheers to you, my friend, and best of luck, because hockey really isn't as much fun without the Red Wings.
No, I mean, if I'm a Red, and I was a Red Wings fan when I was younger. I mean, especially watching Stevie Y, and you think about the Russian Five, and so if I'm excited about this. I'm excited to see what happens, and the Red Wings have a lot of young talent, that they can make a splash here in the next couple of years, and getting somebody like Stevie Y in charge. I mean, it just seems right. Just Stevie Y, the captain, being back in Detroit, it's the right thing.
And I mean, if you look at it, he's been a winner damn near every place he stops. Mm-hmm. So let's hope that trend continues, because Hockey Town is not Hockey Town without the Red Wings doing well.
Yep.
So, and ultimately, if you think about it, yes, the Pistons made the playoffs, but the Tigers are having some down years. They're rebuilding. The Lions are the Lions. So the city of Detroit needs this.
Yeah.
They need something to hang their hat on.
Yep.
Even though Lions fans are some of the most crazy, just loyal ass fans. If I was a Lions fan, I would have jumped ship years ago. So kudos to all of you that are out there, Lions fans, because we're not going to pile on that, because I'm pretty sure you've got it piled on enough on you already. So one last shout out is to our own Mr. 2Ks over here, who damn near predicted the outcome of the Masters.
Yeah. So
you're on fire lately. That's your last 2 predictions. What are you, Nostra 2K now?
Yeah, I mean, pretty soon you're going to be calling me senior golf analyst over here, I think, instead of junior. So look out, Jake. I'm coming for you.
Well, I was just wondering if I should rub your head, have you fill out my my lotto slip tonight, see if your predictions even go past the sports realm.
I mean, I enjoy being right, but I can't take back the first 7-8 weeks that we were doing this, and I was pretty much wrong on everything.
We're just warming up.
And so now that I've gotten a couple right, I'm feeling good about myself. I actually think I know what I'm talking about.
So let's segue that into some Tiger talk. Wow. I'm pretty sure on last Sunday, Tiger broke the internet. And not only the internet, but I'm pretty sure those of you that were watching the Masters on CBS Live, damn near the whole stream fell out because of the amount of traffic that was on it. So we want to give you a big shout out, LT Gray. We know you're an avid listener, so we were believing in you. We had your back the whole time. But congratulations, and we're going to do what we do now. What do we expect from him going forward?
Well, I said it last week in my predictions, and I'm hoping that I'm right again. I think he's going to win another major this year. I don't think he's done yet, and there's plenty more golf tournaments, before the season's over. So I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say he wins another major this year. I said last weekend I think it's going to be the British Open.
All right,
and I also think he'll take another tournament on the way out. And when it comes to the FedEx Cup standings in the end of the season, I think he's going to be at the top of that.
All right. So your bold prediction is he's going to finish the season the number 1 ranked golfer in the world again.
I think Tiger's back.
I can't argue that. The only thing that's kind of holding me back from making a huge bold prediction and saying that is injuries, which no one can predict. The man has a fused back. Let's see now if he strings 2 of these together, or 2 tournaments period together. Yeah, count me on board. I'll be riding that. I'll be riding that bus and possibly be being drunk on it. So, but that's the only thing that's really kind of grasping at me is like, come on, Turb, don't. It's one of those you have to prove it to me. I'm stoked at what happened. I love the fact that he won, and golf loves the fact that he's done this. Now, where do we go from here? Is it? I have a feeling that once he won the first one, he had the embrace with his kids afterwards. You saw him teared up in the post round interviews, and I have a feeling just watching him and looking at him and kind of gauging his rapport that he's not just going to be like, I'm back, and I think that drive is there. You saw it that on Sunday. That to me, I think, and especially in a game like golf, the mental part is probably the hardest thing, probably the last thing when you take that much time off to get back. And you can't get the mental side down until your physical side gets back to where you were. So, yeah, that's the only thing that's, kind of, that's the only reason why I'm pulling the reins is because of that. And, my prediction, Dustin Johnson didn't come. I mean,
he still had a good round.
Finished second.
He's still right there. Yeah. Finished
second. So. Yeah, I'm going to go on board with you saying he's going to win one, and I think DJ is going to win the other 2. And just the way those guys are striking the ball and putting. We touched on it last week. The biggest difference from Tiger, to me, the biggest difference from Tiger now and Tiger back in the early 2000s when he was at his prime is just the strength of the field. And we talk about DJ, but we can go on for, hours talking about some of these other golfers. Brooks Koepka, that's a name that you're seeing consistently all the time in these major tournaments. It's only a matter of time before Ricky Fowler wins his first. Yeah.
You got Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth is always there. And, you can, et cetera. I mean, you can go on. You can go on with it. The strength of the field now is what hurts Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm jumping on the Tiger train, and I honestly, I jumped on it last year when he came close. He came close to win it. He was in there in 3 of the 4 majors. He had a chance on Sunday to make a run and win it. But the way last weekend, the way that he just handled himself, you can say early in the week, or on Thursday and Friday, he was getting the ball off the tee, which is normally his Achilles heel.
Yeah.
But he wasn't knocking down putts that we're used to Tiger normally hitting. And then Saturday, he starts knocking down some putts, but he can't get the ball off the tee. And then Sunday, he was nothing but just consistent. He just did. And that's part of the reason why, you guys both kind of projected the winner to be a higher score last weekend. And I stuck with 14 under as my projection, because when you get to Sunday, it's more of you got to survive. You can't go out and try to be aggressive and shoot for every pin. You have to just play it smart. And you name off all them golfers that I just named off, and they are very, very talented golfers. But not one of them is like Tiger, to where he's smart, he's strategic, he works his way around a golf course, but brilliantly. He's that's what separates him from every other golfer that I've ever seen is he can pick apart a golf course and nobody else can do that.
Yeah. And it's like watching kind of like Greg Maddux. Mm-hmm. Does it differently than everybody else, but dominates. Mm-hmm. And it's, again, getting back to the mental part and just outplaying mm-hmm. and outperforming, out-scheming, if you will, the competition. And it's, when I look at it, it's like, you know, when your dad teaches you how to play guitar and your dad's a very, very talented guitar player and you end up being a hell of a guitar player yourself. And when you're sitting down at a family function and you're both playing and your dad pulls out a riff out of his ass and you're like, where the hell did that come from? He's like, I taught you everything you know, but not everything I know. So I think that's kind of what separated Tiger from everyone else last weekend was that fact mm-hmm. alone. He'd been there. He'd done that. It was old hat. It was just that time that everything needed to come together, and it did. Mm-hmm. And now I think that it's one of those where all the lines are, all the stars are aligned. And yeah, barring injury, I think we're looking at another Tiger run. Mm-hmm. And like we've said multiple times, golf is better for it.
Mm-hmm. And like, if you would have asked all them younger kids, you know, you asked Koepka, you asked Dustin Johnson Saturday night going into final day on Sunday, you know, what's the score? What score are you going to have to shoot to win it? And I guarantee you they would have said, I got to go shoot 5 under. I got to shoot 6 under, make a run and win this thing. I bet if you asked Tiger would have said, I got to shoot 3 under, 4 under, mm-hmm. put myself at, 14 under to win it all, because he knows. And that's what made it, even when you look back when Tiger was winning all the time, he was, and when he's in his, upper 20s, 30s, and yeah, was he the most talented golfer on the tour? Absolutely. But he was like, he had the mindset of a veteran. He'd been there. Mm-hmm. He'd done that. He never got rattled. Nope. You watched, just on Sunday, I think he ended up bogeying the third hole. There's no panic in him.
Nope.
Now he's doing his new thing. He's chewing gum out there.
Which I'm pretty sure everyone in your golf league is going to be chewing gum.
Yeah.
Because hell, Tiger does it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Tiger does it.
Yeah. There's no panic in the guy. The guy had the same facial expression until he made the putt on 18 to win it. Mm-hmm. And that was the only time I saw him on Sunday actually show any emotion. He was just straight-laced, focused, and that's what separates. That is what separates him from the field. It
was go time.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he's back, there was I cannot remember who's the one that interviewed Michael Jordan, but they asked him, where would you rank Tiger's comeback? And the reason they're asking Jordan is because we all know Jordan took, or was forced, however you look at it, those 2 years off, play baseball, mm-hmm. and came back, and I think a year after coming back, they three-peated again. So he himself took time off. So they asked him, where would you rank Tiger's comeback? And he said it's by far the best comeback of all time. So before the show, 2Ks and I were sitting here trying to rank. We're trying to come up with something better, some comeback that's better. And for those of you that let's kind of recap where Tiger came from. He was the most alpha male, the pinnacle of everyone that wanted to be a dude wanted to be Tiger Woods. Mm-hmm. The stunning wife, godzillionaire, top of the golf world, sponsorships out the ass. And what was it? Thanksgiving Eve? Was that when he wrecked the Buick? Mm-hmm. And wife was coming after him with a club. Now all of a sudden he's a sex addict. He goes through and does that. He has the mug shot with the pills, mm-hmm. and on top of that, what is it? 3 back surgeries and 4 knee surgeries, or vice versa. And to do it in a field that is so much more advanced. When Jordan came back, the field was essentially the same. Mm-hmm. However, he came back after 2 years, whereas Tiger's comeback took, as we saw with a major, 10 years? Mm-hmm. So it's been a more work in progress, which you have to take, in my opinion, take that more into account, because he stuck with it. Mm-hmm. Drive, determination to want to get back to where he is now. And there's a couple baseball pitchers that have come back from cancer and have done well, which that's not an injury. That's something that is life-threatening.
Oh, yeah.
John Lester came back with the Red Sox, pitched a no-hitter. One of the pitchers for the Pirates had testicular cancer. He came back. And as far as having to look at someone that went through so many trials and tribulations to get back to where they were, I think Jordan's right. Mm-hmm. I think he nailed it on the head.
Oh yeah, 100% agree. And I mean, and not to take away anything from the two pitchers you named off coming back from battling cancer. I mean, I'm obviously not going to take anything away from that. No. That's amazing.
No.
But when you look at Tiger Woods, he's iconic. I mean, he is the face of a sport. I mean, when you think of golf, the first thing that pops in your head is Tiger Woods. And so what he went through, and I mean, a lot of the things in his personal life he did to himself, that's his business, and I'm not going to get into any of that. But what amazes me with it is the injuries. I mean, a few years ago, there was a lot of people thinking, and I think Tiger Woods was one of them, wondering if he was ever going to be able to even swing a golf club again.
He was saying, I might not ever play golf again.
Yeah. He didn't. I can remember an interview with Tiger where he didn't even know if he was going to be able to pick up his children, play with his kids in the yard, and to overcome that and win, I consider the Masters kind of the biggest one of all the majors. I mean,
it's my favorite one.
Yeah.
There's more pomp and circumstance around that. Mm-hmm. Whether it's the first one of the year or not, but you have the par 3 challenge, you have
they play it at the same course every year,
Yes.
So for him to battle back out of all that, and he showed glimpses of it last season. I think a lot of people that follow golf kind of got the hint last year that he's close. He's going to make a run for one of these. I did, but realistically, I didn't think it was going to happen this soon. I thought maybe he was another year or two away from getting to that, but no, he's back.
Yep.
Tiger is back, and it's the best thing in the world for golf.
I would almost argue, when you're talking about Tiger's the most iconic person in golf, I'd be willing to bet if you took and asked, let's say 2,000 people, if you showed them a picture of Tiger Woods and a picture of Tom Brady, I have a feeling most people would recognize Tiger Woods over Tom Brady.
Absolutely.
Or even Mike Trout, or any of the biggest stars in their respective game today. I think more people know who Tiger Woods is than any other, let's say American, because once you get, overseas, you have a lot of soccer players or footballers that are worldwide, and they're even known here. Not to either you or I, except for Beckham. But and that concludes our soccer coverage. But speaking of sports we really don't know a whole lot about, we're going to dive into some NBA playoff talk. And Kyle, do the Pistons know it's the playoffs?
Well, I think the problem is they shouldn't even be a playoff team, and they're playing against arguably the best team in the NBA.
Yes.
So the Bucks are really, really good, and the Pistons are just not really. They're not good at all.
No,
I mean they're just not. So I don't know. You've heard me say it a lot. I do not like the NBA playoff system. I think it takes too long, and that's kind of the reason why I don't follow the NBA a whole lot, is because the playoffs take a month and a half, 2 months to work their way through.
Well, they start in April and end in June.
Yeah, and in all honesty, until they get to like the conference championships, that's when you get to the last 4 teams, then I'm like, all right, I'll start watching some of these.
Right.
But no, I'm not intrigued to watch even being a Michigan man. I don't want to watch the Pistons play playoff basketball against the Bucks. Like I watched probably 15 games all season of the Pistons, and I was not really impressed all year long.
Well, with those credentials, Kyle, you are now our senior NBA analyst, because that's more basketball games than I watched.
And then you take the Pistons' best player, and Blake Griffin, and he's not even playing right now because he's trying to come back from injury right now. So no, I'm not intrigued. The only reason why I have tuned in to watch a couple minutes are just
Giannis.
to watch. Yes, yeah. And I think the Bucks have a legitimate shot at winning it all. So, the Pistons are going to get swept. I mean, it's going to be done real soon.
And I think the earlier they're done, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, Blake can get healthy. I'd be hard pressed to tell you I know any of the other players on the team. Pretty sure Tayshaun's not there anymore, right?
No.
Okay.
No. It would be nice if the Pistons could do something in the offseason, and maybe snag somebody that worth talking about other than.
Well, don't they share a building with the Red Wings, right?
Yeah.
Does Stevie Y know anything about basketball?
Well, I'm willing to ask. Because
if nothing else, put his office next to the GM of the Pistons, so maybe it's get some of that juju by osmosis, maybe. But yeah, I think we all can agree the Pistons they're done. So let's not beat a dead horse too bad. Kind of one of the series that does intrigue me is the Thunder series.
Mm-hmm.
They're down 1-2, correct?
Yes.
And I should have wrote this down. Who are they playing again?
Thunder are playing the Trailblazers.
Okay, yes. And the reason that one intrigues me is that is the easier side of the bracket, because as things move forward, and if they do, the Rockets and the Warriors are going to have to play each other. So ultimately, the winner of the Blazers Thunder series is only going to have to play one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And not taking anything away from the Trailblazers, because they're a great team.
Yeah.
How many times can Oklahoma City fuck shit up? You have, at one point, now going back a few years ago, maybe some of these players aren't the players they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Harden, Westbrook, Durant.
Mm-hmm.
Same team.
Mm-hmm.
All drafted by that franchise. Well, they moved from Seattle. It's the same fucking franchise. And now you have Westbrook still there, Paul George, and the caveman in the middle.
And I bet now you can't, and hindsight's 20/20, but I bet if you asked, GM, owner of the Thunder now, looking back, Westbrook would be the last one that I would want.
Yes.
I mean, I would want Durant first out of all of them.
Absolutely.
But Harden would be the next one right there in line. I mean,
and Harden was the first one to go. He was the sixth man of the year a couple years, which I don't blame him. Mm-hmm. If you don't want me, I'll go somewhere else, and I'll do shit my way. And every time I see you, it's gonna be on. Mm-hmm. So I don't blame him one bit. But to look at, especially being the way the bracket is this season, if you don't get out of the first round, I think, because obviously the players we just mentioned are under contract, so it's not as easy to get rid of them as it would be to get rid of a GM, get rid of a coach. So if they don't make it out of the first round, something has got to happen, because that talent cannot be wasted and not get out of the first round. Like I said, that's nothing taking away from Portland at all, because that's a very talented team. They have been all year. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's it's intriguing, because Portland held serve at home, went up 2-0, and when I was making the agenda for the show, I put down are the Thunder done if they go down 0-3, which game happened last night, because I looked at the schedule wrong. I thought it was tonight. So, of course, that is null and void. But if they go down 3-1, if they lose the next one, and series goes back to Portland, I think you can wrap it up. Mm-hmm. I really do. And it's sad, because Russell Westbrook himself, Mr. Triple-Double.
Yeah.
I mean, we thought it was unheard of to average a triple-double for 1 year. He's now done it 3 years in a row. Mm-hmm. We ultimately take it for granted. Mm-hmm. And one can say, too, that if someone's doing that much, however, this year I'm almost positive his scoring numbers are the lowest it's been of the three. Mm-hmm. So is it good for one person to put that much towards a game that often? Kind of like James Harden. Everything goes through him. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Westbrook. They go, granted, they're point guards. They should touch the ball every time. Mm-hmm. You can't argue that. But should you rely on them to contribute so much? That might be one of the downfalls of the Thunder, mm-hmm. to be honest with you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely it is. I mean, and the reason why it never worked with Westbrook and Durant, who Durant, I would say, is the second best player in the NBA right now, and it never worked out with those two because Westbrook wanted the ball all the time. He wanted to do everything. Yep. But when you have a guy like Durant, you have to know your role. Mm-hmm. You have to step back and let Durant run the show, and take that what D Wade did in the Miami days with LeBron. D Wade was perfect.
Yep.
D Wade was the man. And then LeBron came into town and D Wade was like, you know what, I'll be Robin. You be Batman, I'll be Robin. I'll take that on. Westbrook can't do that. And I think
they're two very different players, and at the time in their careers, mm-hmm. when this was going on, were two vastly different. Mm-hmm. D Wade had already had a title. Mm-hmm. He's like, all right, cool. If you're gonna help me, I'll help you. Mm-hmm. You have two very young kids in Westbrook and Durant at the time. Of course, they're gonna butt heads. They're two very alpha males.
Mm-hmm. But I kind of look at it the same way now. I mean, you have Paul George. I would rather run my stuff through Paul George than Russell Westbrook.
Paul George, before an injury, was the MVP of
absolutely.
Of the NBA.
And I'm not saying that Westbrook's a bad player. I mean, he averages a triple-double. I mean, that's nuts.
He's an NBA freak in nature is what he is.
I don't think guys are knocking down doors to go play for the Thunder. I mean, it shocked me when Paul George stayed. That shocked me. I thought he was a lock to go to LA and team up with LeBron. Thought it was a lock.
I think everybody did.
And so that one shocked me. But I don't think, as far as bringing in other free agents, because that's kind of the way the NBA works now. You better have your big three. Sometime in some cases, like Oklahoma City Thunder, you might have to have your big four.
Right.
So, but you have to have that to compete now. I mean, you can get yourself in the playoffs with what you got. You might be able to win the first round, but when you get in and start playing against teams like the Warriors and teams like the Rockets and flipping over to the East and looking at the Bucks and the Celtics and all them, you better have your team full of three big three stars. And when I look at the Thunder, you have two, but you have Westbrook, who tries to do everything, tries to do too much way too often. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you look at, he's got a triple-double all the time, but I would say his shooting percentage is probably somewhere in the 30%,
right.
Low 40%. That's not good. You look at Harden. Yeah, Harden runs the show in Houston, but he also shoots a pretty good percentage from the field on everything. He doesn't force a lot of bad shots, and
he shoots like 38% from three.
Yeah. But,
and if you look at the frequency he takes them, mm-hmm. that's the impressive part. Mm-hmm. It's not like he's taking 3 or 4 a game. Mm-hmm. He's taking 3 or 4 a half, mm-hmm. a quarter. Mm-hmm. And what reminds me the most of Russell Westbrook is when you're playing slow pitch softball and you have that overzealous either left center fielder mm-hmm. or shortstop that tries to field everything and ends up fielding nothing.
Yeah.
However, Westbrook puts up his numbers, but is it to make the team better, or is it to make his stats better?
Yeah. He's like the definition of a tryhard. You see, I think he probably has 2, maybe 3 All-Star Game MVPs.
Oh yeah,
because he's out there just like playing like it's Game 7 of the championship.
He's probably the only point guard in history of the All-Star Game to bring down 12 rebounds.
Yeah, and everybody else is just fucking, lollygagging, throwing hoops, no defense at all.
High-fiving Kevin Hart.
Yeah, Westbrook's playing like it's March Madness out there. It's like, nobody. I don't want to tune into the All-Star Game and watch Westbrook run all over the place and do. I want to see some oops and all that kind of stuff.
Well, this year it was just a 3-point contest.
Yeah.
Which that got old really quick.
But going back to the Thunder problem and with Westbrook, he's not that team leader that I think is going to draw other guys in free agency to want to come. I don't think there's going to be those big names that are going to be like, I don't want to play with Westbrook. I mean, he's all about himself.
Would you say it's kind of reminiscent of Kobe towards the end of his career?
Yeah, similar.
Not so much the try hard, just, I mean, they're both alpha as fuck.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Do shit my way or get the hell off my team.
But the only difference I have with those two is
Kobe won.
Kobe fucking won. So it was like, all right, Kobe wants to do shit his way. Yeah, he's winning the whole time though. I'm gonna do whatever Kobe wants.
Yeah.
With Westbrook, you haven't won, dude. I'm not gonna.
You made it to one finals.
Yeah, I'm not leaving to join up with you and form this big three because you haven't won. You haven't won shit. Prove it to me.
If I was a high, let's say I'm Klay Thompson, which Klay Thompson would fit extremely well with Oklahoma City. I'm going to LA all day. I would much rather play with LeBron. Be surrounded with that circus nonstop.
Especially somebody like Klay, who was a spot up shooter. You got somebody like LeBron will find you. Okay. And LeBron will get doubled. He will get
Look
tripled.
what he did with Ray Allen.
Yes.
Kyle Korver. Yes. Mike Miller.
Klay Thompson would be the perfect teammate for LeBron because that he would just sit there on the perimeter, doesn't have to dribble the ball whatsoever. Nope.
Which he's better when he doesn't.
Yes. Let LeBron run the show. LeBron's going to pull doubles all the time. And LeBron will find you. I mean, he's arguably not only can LeBron score at will every trip down the floor, but he's probably the best passer in the NBA also.
Yeah.
So,
him and Steph, they're both phenomenal.
But my last thing I want to throw in there real quick about Westbrook, and it's one of those things that will always bother me, and why I probably will never be a Westbrook fan. Is he's soft. Like he's always in it with some fan in the stands. This guy, called me a name or something like that. And it's like, dude, you're making millions of dollars to play basketball.
Yes.
If a fan, like earlier this season, he was upset because like an 8-year-old kid grabbed him by the arm. Like,
right.
Chill out, Russell.
Yeah. It wasn't some 30-year-old dude with a knife.
Yeah. Like there's security.
Everywhere.
all around this floor. Nothing's gonna happen to you.
No.
If somebody calls you a name, like, deal with it.
Yeah,
deal with it. And that bothers me. He's so soft, but then again, he's soft. But he wants to. He acts and he carries himself like he's this hard. He's hard. Like, don't fuck with me. And that irritates me with him.
Thug on the inside or thug on the outside, hug on the inside.
Yeah. It's like, dude. I'm not going to give you any sympathy. No, it's not going to happen.
No. And since we brought up Klay and Steph and Du Bois over at Dub City, is this the year they finally don't make it to the championship, or is this a year they lose? Can anyone ultimately stop them? What do you think?
I think they're gonna get there. I think they're gonna be in the finals again. And let's just be honest, the West is tough. I mean, that is a dogfight.
Yes.
I mean, you look at they're fighting with the Clippers right now, and they're the 8th seed.
The Clippers are giving them everything they can handle.
But the Clippers were 9 games back. Talking regular season standings, the 8th seed from the number 1 seed in the West was a difference of 9 games. You look in the East, and the Pistons are 19 games. The Pistons are the 8th seed. The Bucks are the 1 seed. The Pistons are 19 games back.
Yep.
So that just tells me the West is loaded. I mean, now there was a big drop off from 8 to the 9 spot in the West, but those 8 teams that are in the playoffs in the West are all good teams, all very good teams. So it's going to be a fight for the Warriors to get there again and to repeat it. But I think in the end, and the injury with Boogie Cousins, that scares me a little bit for them. But you still have Steph, you still have Durant, you still have Klay Thompson.
Where's Draymond in this whole thing? I mean, you ultimately, he's usually the one that got, you get the scoring. It's always either Klay or Steph, or just grabbing the headlines. And then all of a sudden you get Draymond, who busts out with, and I'm not saying with the technical fouls or anything stupid like that, he'll bust out in a 30, 40-point game. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard of him one time this season doing that.
No. Or,
a 2020 game, or, a 2015 game. And I think it's because of Boogie being there, he hasn't
kind of taken a backseat to that.
He's kind of had to.
Yeah, and I mean, and offensively, you're never going to get those balky numbers from Draymond. But the way I look at Draymond is I kind of compare him to an offensive lineman in football. They do a lot of the dirty work. You're not successful unless you have a really good one. Mm-hmm. And that's what. And but they're arguably the most important player on the floor.
He reminds me a lot of Dennis Rodman with the Bulls. Mm-hmm. Granted, a lot of things off the court with Dennis followed him, but when he was between the lines, it was hard to argue that he was not. Ultimately, it's sometimes the second most important person other than Michael Jordan on the court, because he set that attitude, set that tone. Kind of like Bill Laimbeer back with the Pistons. Yes. Not the most flashy player, but the guy that has the most attitude. Mm-hmm. Pretty much the fuck you player.
Yes, if you're Steph Curry, if you're Kevin Durant, you love having that guy on your team because you're not if you're driving to the hole and you take a hard foul in the paint, Draymond's going to have your back.
Oh yeah. Well,
so when you have a guy like that, that's ready to go behind you, that makes you feel a lot better about driving the lane and getting taken out because I got Draymond behind me and I know he'll have my back. And
if he doesn't get there, well, now that Boogie's done. I think him and Boogie would have fought to get to them to begin with.
Oh, absolutely.
But I am going out. I'm not saying going out on a limb. I'm really confident about this one. I'm saying the Rockets beat Dub City in 7. And with that being said, that's on Oklahoma. Or that's on their home court. I'm saying they take it in 7. They were a Chris Paul injury away from winning it last year. And we have seen this year that they're not as bulletproof. Mm-hmm. The Warriors aren't as waterproof, bulletproof as we've seen them in the past years. So I think ultimately it's not going to be. It might not even be the Rockets beating them. It might be the Warriors beating themselves. Mm-hmm. Everything's been too easy, too stagnant. Just the stuff with Durant and. With Draymond and the whole, I really didn't think Boogie Cousins would work out as good as he did with that team, but now that he's gone, that's kind of a big hole. And I think you're going to see Draymond step up like he always does, but I think ultimately it's going to be something that they themselves do that the Rockets take advantage of to ultimately seal that deal.
The hardest thing with it for me is in seeing Golden State get beat. I think you can beat Golden State like once, maybe twice, but in a 7-game series, it's hard to beat them 4 times. It's that they play such good team ball. It doesn't necessarily have to be Steph Curry going out and scoring 30 points. It doesn't necessarily have to be Kevin Durant doing that. They have 3 or 4 different guys that can go out and all of them score in the 20s. Mm-hmm. And so the only way that I see the Rockets being able to do it is James Harden has to put the team on his back, kind of like he did when Chris Paul was out this season. And Harden has to just flat out go off. And it can happen. If there's anybody in the NBA that can just go off for a series and put the team on their back and just do it, James Harden's probably my first option.
I want to know how you guard him.
Well, in the rules today, there is no way to guard him.
Because he travels every time he shoots. But no, let's kind of segue that into Eastern Conference Finals. Who you got? Who you running with? Who are you staking your claim with?
I say the Milwaukee Bucks, and the only reason I say the Milwaukee Bucks is because I think they have the best player. I think they have the MVP of the NBA this season on their team. I think they're going to end up playing in the conference championship against the 76ers.
Uh-oh. We have an upset. The Sixers? Mm-hmm. I like it. Mm-hmm. I like it.
But and the reason why I think the Sixers kind of separated themselves a little bit from some of the other teams in the pack when they went out at the trade deadline and picked up Tobias. I mean, that was in that sense proved to be a very good pickup for them. You mix him in with Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. The problem that I have with the Sixers sometimes is they kind of struggle to score the ball sometimes.
Which is odd considering all those players you just named.
Yeah, and I mean, like you see a lot of times where Ben Simmons, I think, gets a little bit too passive sometimes. Instead of just the guy can score at will if he would just decide to go to the hole every single
He's
time.
6'10".
Yeah. And if he ever
with a handle,
yeah, and if he ever developed a jump shot, oh my God, he would be. You're talking about.
Let's take a little segue with that. It's rumored that him and, which you can take this what you want, him and Reggie Miller are going to train together this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And Reggie's going to try to help him get a jumper. Now, if you want the prettiest jumper in the world, Reg ain't it.
No.
Reg ain't it.
One of the best.
Accuracy-wise,
yeah.
How he got it there from point A to point B, I have no idea. If you want, if you're looking for a pretty jumper, Ray Allen's your dude.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Allen and Steph are probably the prettiest jump shots.
Mm-hmm.
3-point jump shots. I still think Jordan, towards the end of his career, end of his dominance, not the end of his career, had probably one of the most flawless jump shots, which Kobe ultimately mimicked and copied, which we talked about that last time.
Then this guy by the name of Steph Curry came around and just proved that he's probably the best shooter to ever touch a basketball. Yeah,
and I think ultimately by the time he's done, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. But if you're looking at me, I mean, you're looking at you to choose any of them, you can't go wrong.
No.
And in the NBA, I think the willingness and the ability to drive the ball isn't so much taught. It's a feel. Mm-hmm. You can teach a jumper. Mm-hmm. It's mechanics. Whereas driving to the hole, like I said, it's more of a feel. It's more of a it's timing. Mm-hmm. It's timing, which I can say probably can get easier over time, but ultimately the ability to do it, it's something you probably have or don't. Mm-hmm. Of course, you're talking to a 5'9" fat kid that's never been able to drive the ball at all, but I could shoot the daylights out of it. But so, yeah, Ben Simmons, I got you on that. Give me a holler. Hit me up on turboand2ks.com. You and I will work out together. We'll get your jumper set, kid.
And that's the thing with Simmons is, if I'm not even saying he needs to be a 3-point shooter, if he could just develop a mid-range game and then get better at his free throws too, and being able to knock down free throws at a higher percentage. I don't know how you would guard him. He's
6'10".
What he can do
with a handle.
He reminds me so much of Magic.
Yep.
And the way he plays and what he can do.
And what's ultimately weird with him is he doesn't know which hand to shoot with. Which, I mean, when you're finishing around the basket is great. Mm-hmm. You can go right or left, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But when you most folks have a dominant hand, and normally they figure it out by then. But what he's doing, I mean, how many other 6'10" point guards do you know? Mm-hmm. Not a ton. Not a ton. So you gave us your Eastern Conference. What about your Western Conference?
Western Conference, I have the Warriors. I have the Warriors. It's going to be a final showdown of the Bucks and Warriors. Kind of the safe bet, I think. I mean,
you and your fucking safe bets.
But now that other side of the bracket, where you talk about Thunder and the Blazers going at it now, and you talk about maybe the most intriguing matchup of all the playoffs right now is Denver and Sacramento, or Denver and San Antonio. You never can count San Antonio and Popovich out.
Nope. I don't care who his players are. I don't care.
And I mean, they're leading the series right now.
He is the best coach in the NBA and has been for the last 15 years.
Absolutely. And they're leading the series right now. And as the season was going on, I was kind of thinking the whole time that maybe Denver has what it takes to take the Warriors out this year, and make it there. And Denver, I mean, with exception of Jokic is kind of their guy, their guy in the middle that can do everything. But they kind of have a 4 guys around the perimeter, and it could be one guy scoring 28 one night, and then the next night he might have 4, and another guy will have 20 some.
Yep.
They play that, they're that team ball. They don't have those big time star players. But so that's a tough matchup for me. I think when it's all said and done, it's going to be Golden State in the conference championship against the Denver Nuggets. I think the Denver Nuggets are going to come back from a 2-1 deficit right now, and win that series with San Antonio, get there with the Warriors. But it's so hard to beat the Warriors 4 times in a 7-game series, and I think the only team that can do it are the Bucks. And you obviously know my projections now. I think the Bucks are going to win it all this year.
You heard it first here, folks. Heard it first here. Now mine, on the Eastern side, I'm talking about safe picks. I'm going chalk. I'm going Milwaukee, Toronto. I think it's been a minute since we've seen, and to me one of the biggest stars of all, Kawhi, has gone under the radar. I think that's mostly because he's not in the U.S. anymore. But I see them outlasting and getting through their side of the bracket. But ultimately, I think the Bucks are just too good. They're just too good. And I already told you I'm taking Houston. And on the other side, I'm going to roll with Portland. I think you're going to get the freak against the beard.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even make it to this part of it, but I'm going Rockets. I'm going, and maybe, and this is partially some of my reasoning, that maybe if they win, Harden shaves his beard.
Not happening.
Well, I mean, maybe, but no, for real. Like I said last year, they were one Chris Paul injury away from beating Golden State last year. So I think barring everything and staying healthy, I think I think they have the firepower. They have what it takes to and getting back to the Houston Golden State series, I think it's kind of reminiscent of the Duke Michigan State game, in that it's one of the most viewed, sought after, even though it's not the finals by any means. So, but yeah, that's where I am on that. And got a little bit of time left here, 2Ks. So let's talk some baseball ethics. Let's talk some baseball ethics. For those of you that don't know, there was a game, I want to say it was in Chicago?
I believe so.
It was the White Sox against the Royals, and Tim Anderson for the White Sox was at bat and hits a bomb. I mean, a bomb. Goes past the second deck, no doubter for sure, and doesn't even leave the batter's box, turns and throws his bat towards their dugout. Of course, the pitch, now mind you, I probably should have looked up the pitcher's name, however, it's irrelevant.
Brad Keller, I believe.
Yes it is. So that was in like the third or fourth inning, and Anderson comes up the next time and dude plunks him. And when I say plunks him, if you haven't seen the replay, he hits him right in the ass. Like, if you're going to retaliate, this is textbook. Mm-hmm. Hit a dude in the ass, take it, go to first. We don't need any of this jawing. We don't need dugouts clearing. And what was really weird with that is the coaches were the two that were the ones getting in the most of it.
Yeah, Renteria from the White Sox, I just thought went overboard. I don't even understand what he was. The problem was over. I mean,
yeah.
You hit a home run, you pimped it. I think everybody can attest to that. Mm-hmm. You definitely pimped it, dude. And Keller came back out your next at bat and drilled you, and the problem was over. I mean, if you want to clear the benches and just do what you do, go out there and play grab ass for a couple minutes, fine. That's what happened. I think that's just kind of the baseball.
That's 98% of baseball.
Yeah, that's kind of the unwritten rule.
Since Kyle Farnsworth has gone out of the league.
Somebody gets drilled and you're going to charge the mound. I'm good with it. And if you want to, let the bullpens come running out, and normally by the time the last guy in the bullpen hits the infield, it's all over.
Yeah.
But
if I was a pitcher in the bullpen, I'd take the bullpen car.
Yeah. But that's just what happened. I mean, that's just what you do. That's the unwritten rule in baseball. Somebody charges the mound. God damn it, we're all going out there.
So my my question is to you, and which is going to be, which as baseball fans we see this, we've seen this for years. Guy shows you up, I'm going to show him up. And we've seen pitchers for instance, hold grudges over the off season.
Mm-hmm.
Motherfucker, first time I see that guy.
Oh yeah, you look at like Madison Bumgarner. I mean, that guy has had it. You know, he doesn't. If you're not busting it out of the box, he'll get on you for that too. Like, you know,
come on, man, come on.
Yeah.
So this is something that it's kind of ingrained in us. And now you have 3 younger kids, and we're getting into a generation where, you know, it's not the same kind of hard-nosed sports as what we grew up with. It's more of a participation trophy type thing. Argue it whether you want. We're not saying that's good or bad. What we're trying to discuss is fast forward to your son's first, let's say, freshman year. And he does exactly what Tim Anderson does. And the reason I bring this up is I was watching the MLB network, and Mark DeRosa said something that kind of shocked me, is that if his son did that, after he came back in the dugout, he'd put him in the car and we'd go home. We don't do that. We don't do that. You don't show up a pitcher. You don't show up the other team. You just don't do that. Which is one way of thinking. And you and I were talking before we hit record, and I'm pretty much on board with you. And for what I would consider kind of an old school player in Mark DeRosa, hell, he played with enough teams. He probably knows 90% of the MLB at the time. I'm kind of shocked that he would be so just against it. Yeah. Against it. You would have thought that he was a pitcher, not a position player. Yeah. And when we were talking about this, you brought up a very good point in, if you're gonna do it, expect the repercussions.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the opposite on that. I'm not gonna be upset with him. I mean, it's sports. It's okay to show emotion in sports. It's okay to be happy. And if when you think of a major league or any baseball situation as a hitter, the best possible outcome there is to hit a home run. Yeah, clear the bases. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the best thing that you can do as a hitter.
Now, where I would have a problem is if Tim Anderson threw the bat at their dugout. Yeah, saying the Royals dugout, where you're like a big fuck you. Yeah, he's throwing it at his team's dugout, celebrating a big win for him. Yeah, as a pitcher, you showed me up a little bit. Yeah. You're gonna get plunked.
He wasn't looking at the pitcher. He never made eye contact with him or yelled at him or said anything to him. He was happy because he hit a freaking home run. Nothing's ever said. Nothing's said about. So I would turn the question around on to DeRosa. To if your son was pitching in a situation where you had runners on second and third and 2 outs in a big game, you were the starting pitcher and you're 7 innings in and
tied 1-1.
Yeah, and big situation, and you get a strikeout and you're acting like a pitcher in the major leagues. You're screaming, going back to the dugout. You're clapping your hands, anything like that. You're gonna pack your kid up and send him home too for that? I mean, that's what I would tell him. If my son hit a home run as a batter and had a little bat flip and whatever, and still ran around the bases, the way you're supposed to, not taking, you're not taking 25 seconds to go get around the bases, but just had a bat flip about it.
Some of us are chubby as kids. It takes us longer.
I'm not going to say anything about it, and I'm also going to sit there. And if his next at bat, he goes up there and gets plunked in the butt, hey. You might have had that one coming. And I would tell him that after the game. Hey, you might have had that coming.
As long as it's not high and tight.
Yes.
Then
if the pitcher comes back the next at bat and drills him in the head, then
you have every right to be pissed off. Then we're going
to have a fucking problem.
Yep.
That's where I stand on that. Like, there's a right way. There's a right way to retaliate, and there's a wrong way.
And that was it Keller?
Mm-hmm. He hit him right in the butt. There's nothing wrong with it.
It was textbook. Textbook retaliation.
Yeah. And the only thing that upsets me about the whole situation are the suspensions. And I get it. It's only you're going to delay Keller's start one game, and
Anderson gets one game.
Is going to sit out for one game. But to me, that's so stupid. The problem was Keller felt he was getting showed up on the home run. Maybe he was. Fine. Keller comes back out, drills him in the butt the next time. The bench is clear. Those two get kicked out of the game. Problem solved. We're done. We move on to the next day and let him play.
Yep.
It was over. It was over and done with right there on the field.
And I think the Major League Baseball brought more attention to more unneeded attention to it by giving the suspensions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's granted, it's one of those old school versus new school type things, and the self-policing of baseball has been going on for over 100 years. Mm-hmm. Granted, I think I would have much rather taken a fastball off the ass from Keller as opposed to a fastball off the ass from Nolan Ryan. Because Ryan's going to hum it up there 100 miles an hour right at your ass. Mm-hmm. Keller, I mean, probably was like low 90s, mm-hmm. which if you're talking about, there's a pretty big difference in 10 miles an hour. If you've never been hit by a baseball, there's a big difference. But you're right. There was no mound charging. There was nothing to it.
It was just, if anybody should have got a suspension out of it.
It was the coaches.
Yeah, Renteria.
For acting like an asshole. Which he was arguing the fact that my player got thrown at, he shouldn't be ejected. That's incorrect.
No.
Your player did some, quote unquote, showed up the pitcher. Mm-hmm. When it comes down to it, baseball is a gentleman's game played by gentlemen. Mm-hmm. I know that you can stretch that word gentleman as well. I mean, as far as you need to, but that's why. Yes. And especially when you have two, because essentially at that point, they're both firecrackers. Their emotions are running high. Just get them out of the game. Mm-hmm. Get them out of the game, because if you don't get Anderson out of the game, they toss the pitcher. The guy coming in, next time he sees him, going to groove him again. Mm-hmm. And then that's when it's one of those, let's just stop it now, squash it. If it comes back the next series, that's fine. That's fine. You look at a lot of the Red Sox. When was it? The Red Sox and Manny Ramirez. God damn it. Manny Machado.
Yeah.
And then that whole beef with that, and that lasted damn near
too long. It was.
Yeah. So there's, which then again, I'd have to look back. I don't think any of those players were suspended. So just nip it in the butt. Yeah. But DeRosa, I'm sorry. If you pack your kid up after that, I think that's more of a fail on the parent as opposed to the child.
I agree.
And for you to be a Major League Baseball player and have that mindset, I can't agree with you on that.
No, sports.
You should have taught your child the right way to celebrate, the right way. Being a professional baseball player for many, many years, being a journeyman, being an above average Major League player. If that's the education that he's coming out of that situation with, that's your fault, bro. I'm sorry. That's not the child's fault. That's not the coach's fault. That's not the team's fault. That's not the pitcher's fault. That's your fault. Yep. So, if that's the way you want to parent your child, more power to you, because I don't have any. And if I did, I would do it differently. I'm not saying my different is better than yours, but if you're removing him from that situation, it's more of a problem than just take that. And on top of that, if it's the second inning, your kid's a stud, you're penalizing his whole team over him being a dumbass, which ultimately goes back to you. So I sat here going, what? And Al Leiter was the first one to be like, are you kidding me? You would take your kid and leave?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, Al, what would you do? Pretty much word for word what you said. Now you're getting, which was the coolest part about the conversation, is you're getting the batter's perspective and the pitcher's perspective. And I was like, I've stepped in the batter's box after grooving one. It's not fun. No. It's not fun. Either you're getting your ass hit, or your best player's getting his ass hit, and then he's beating your ass. So I don't know which is worse, getting an ass beating from a teammate or getting a fastball to the ass.
No, and I mean, this is the whole parenting conversation is a touchy subject. I mean, it's a, I mean, I could go on for hours, talking about this, but I'm not, for lack of a better term, I'm not going to pussify my kids.
No.
Like, if you want to show emotion over a big deal and
over a huge accomplishment that you did,
fucking do it.
As long as you're not doing it to disrespect your opponents, I'm all for it.
I'm not going to get on my kids for being excited about hitting a home run.
But if you hit a home run, immediately turn to the catcher, grab your crotch, and say "fuck you" or something like that. No.
I'm gonna get on.
I would yank my kid out of that game.
Yes. If you're
for that
deliberately doing it right to somebody's face, that's a whole different story. But like, I'm gonna get on my kid more if he pimps a hit and it doesn't get over the fence and he ends up turning something off the wall into a single. Then I might think about packing his shit up and taking him home. Like, if you're gonna pimp it, that thing better be gone. It better be over the fence.
Yep.
So but like, no, sorry, DeRosa. I got mad respect for you, bro. But I disagree with you on that.
Yep. I brought this conversation up, and knowing that, Kyle and I are both, our winner's mentality are the same. We both hate to fucking lose. And granted, now he has the younger ones. My girlfriend has older kids, so it's a little bit different. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit different, and just in their age differences, the things that my girlfriend's kids have known and been taught are different than what your kids are. Mm-hmm. And so I was wanting to get your input just to see if I wasn't completely out in left field here. So I'm glad that I'm not. I'm glad that I'm not. However, there are some parents out there that would probably disagree with us wholeheartedly.
Yeah, well, there's too many articles and books for parents to read these days, and that's a whole different subject for something other than the Turbo and 2Ks. But
yeah, there's some other podcasts we can we can recommend if you really need some help. So if that's the case, email us at turbo2ks@gmail.com. But Mr. 2Ks, we're about at that hour point here. Is there anything you want to bring up to kind of wrap us up with?
I think we touched on it all. I mean, we at the beginning here, or when we were going through things, we kind of touched on the NFL. I know we got the draft coming up, so for all you NFL guys out there, that's exciting to look forward to. But as far as
is it really though? Is it really? I mean, there's one captivating player in my opinion.
Yeah, well,
everything, and now mind you, I'm a huge football fan. I enjoy watching my favorite team take a game-changing defensive end, or a left tackle that's gonna anchor that line for 15 years. I enjoy that. Most let's put it this way, fantasy football players, there's going to be diamonds in the rough. There always is.
Oh, yeah.
There always is. But Kyler Murray is the only one that I'm really keeping an eye on, and it's all depending on Arizona.
Yeah,
Arizona.
Well, you look at the last coach there, Arizona. He only lasted for one season, and Sean Kingsbury taking over now.
He's supposed to be the quarterback whisperer, bro.
I mean, yeah, well, I'm not buying that. He couldn't even win when he had brain fire. What's his name there from Kansas City?
Alex Smith?
No, the last
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes in college. He couldn't even win then. So quarterback whisperer my ass. But so
maybe he was in college.
But if you
whisperer.
think that Kyler Murray is gonna be the game changer for you guys,
Kyler Murray's gonna sell some jerseys. He's gonna bring some hype.
I'm not buying.
He's gonna.
He should have stuck to baseball. I'm not buying it. I don't. He put up some really big numbers.
Dwayne Haskins put up bigger ones.
Yeah, and in the conference that Kyler Murray played in, let's just be honest.
I could have played corner.
There's no defense in that in the Big 12. There's no defense whatsoever.
I could have played corner for Texas.
Yes. I mean, so if you think he's going to come to Arizona and fix all the problems that you guys have in Arizona right now, that's not going to happen. So I would keep on trying to develop your Josh Rosen, who you selected,
or offensive line that almost got Josh Rosen killed last year.
Yeah.
But
I think one thing we all can agree on is this draft is very, very loaded as far as pass rushers go, and
which are the next biggest commodity besides a quarterback.
So you're going to pass up on who I think there's 4 or 5 pass rushers there that are guaranteed. You're not going to miss on them, and you're going to pass up on them and kind of take a flyer pick, in my opinion, at number 1. Nothing's going to turn a fan base on a coach sooner than taking a flyer and it not working out, because the thing with taking
Joey
Kyler
Harrington.
Murray, the thing with taking Kyler Murray at number 1 is if you take him number 1 overall, every Arizona fan is going to say he better win right now. Yes. And that's not fair. That's not fair to him. That's not fair. That's not fair to him at all.
Nope.
But you're putting so much pressure on him, and I'm sorry, I just don't see that happening. And you're gonna pass on
Bosa.
Joey Bosa. I mean, you're gonna pass on that. I mean,
yeah, there's so many studs that are no brainers.
Yeah,
this is a flyer.
Yeah.
This ultimately reminds me of all the talk, all the hype once it got down to Dallas's pick and Manziel hadn't gone off the board yet. Mm-hmm. That to me is very reminiscent of what this is. I think Josh Rosen's going to be a better quarterback than Kyler Murray is.
I can't argue that with you.
Will Kyler Murray have more rushing yards? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Will Kyler Murray be better than Russell Wilson? No.
Mm.
Not at all. Not at all. Especially in Phoenix.
No.
Which he better have a whole lot of rushing yards, because that offensive line is garbage, which is one of the reasons why Josh Rosen wasn't as good. And you're a rookie. I'm sorry, rookies that excel have a fantastic offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson, his rookie year. Seahawks had a fantastic offensive line and a badass running game. Dak Prescott, his rookie year. Carson Wentz, his rookie year. So getting a mobile quarterback is not going to fill the holes in the offensive line. So what we're planning to do with the draft is we're going to be reactionary as opposed to predictions.
Yeah.
We would rather, because I'm not gonna sit here, 2K crew, and be like, all right, well, 3rd overall pick is an offensive lineman from Wisconsin. Fuck, yeah. I don't know. I don't follow it that close, but I would much rather sit back, give you the winners, give you the losers, tell you how I think my Bears did. I'm sure 2K is going to tell you how his Cowboys did, even though it's not gonna matter. But
yeah, we don't have a pick. We don't have a pick until I don't think like 47th overall or something like that.
Until next October. But with that being said, we're huge NFL guys, so we will get to it. But yeah, I just think it's more of something that's reactionary rather than prediction. We're not Mel Kiper and Todd. We're not Mel Kiper, so we don't get paid to do our draft analysis. So.
Although I could probably sit here and spout off like Mel Kiper and
your hair is not as luscious though.
Probably be no, but I could probably be just as accurate as him.
I'm more of a Todd McShay in my style and hair choice, but that I don't yell as much as
they get too into it. It's like
what's funny is watching what's his name, Caliendo, do his impression. He's obviously way over the top, which is awesome. But guys, we're running over, so I hope you enjoy the show. I know it's kind of a letdown. I shouldn't say a letdown, but we had a fantastic show last week with our guest, Mr. Jacob Berg, which we do appreciate. I almost said apologize for, but we are working ever diligently to get a guest for next week. And if it's not next week, it'll be the following week. So keep in tune for that. I'll drop some hints on the Facebook page to let you kind of see what we got going on. But other than that, hit us up, turboand2ks@gmail.com. All the other cool shit. And our Patreon. Like I said, the Facebook page, Spotify. I'm if you guys are looking for a platform to download it, Spotify is your best bet. It's the most user friendly, and it does offer the most cooler. That doesn't make any sense. The most beneficial experience when you are going through it, and they actually do have a lot of other podcast material that iTunes does not. So with that being said, for myself, Mr. 2K's 2K crew, we love you. Keep it up, and we will catch you next week. And Mr. Jim Rome, we're coming for you.